55-year-old Michael Duane Zack is in the unfortunate number 1 position on the list of individuals scheduled for execution on October 3rd, 2023 in Florida, United States.
Michael Duane Zack was convicted of the 1996 killings. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed his death warrant. He's scheduled to die by lethal injection October 3rd.
The charges against him are grave, including theft, rape, and murder by strangulation and stabbing with a knife. He killed 2 women he met at a bar in cold blood. What's more horrifying is that he committed his crimes when he was only 27. He'll receive a lethal injection as the mode of his punishment. But there's a puzzling question lurking behind these terrible crimes. What led a 27-year-old to commit such horrifying crimes, and what's his story? Let's find out. Michael's early life wasn't easy at all. Even before he was born, his mom had a problem with alcohol. She had a car accident while pregnant with him, and he ended up being born too soon. What's even sadder is that Michael's dad, who was in the military, left shortly after Michael was born. After that, his mom married again, but her new husband was cruel to Michael and his sisters. All of these issues scarred him for life. According to a petition to stay his execution, Michael suffers from many mental health issues, like post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic depression, fetal alcohol syndrome, which happens when a baby is exposed to alcohol before they're born, and organic brain damage.
Researchers say most children who were exposed to alcohol in the womb are not diagnosed.
According to the petition, mental health experts agree that Michael's mental and emotional age is more like a 10 or 11-year-old kid because of all the childhood trauma and pre-birth defects.
Yeah, children with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder have trouble regulating their behavior, following instructions, and find it difficult to understand social cues. Diagnosing the plea can make a big difference.
However, the big question is, how can a person with the mind of an 11-year-old commit such cruel murders? Because the details of these crimes are gruesome and indicate otherwise. It all began when Zack started going to a local bar regularly where Edith Pope was working. He used to tell her stories about how he witnessed his sister murder his mother with an axe. This made Edith fall into a trap and feel sympathy for him. As a result, she started giving him odd jobs around the bar. On June 4th, 1996, Zack's girlfriend called to tell him he was evicted from her apartment, so Pope lent him her car to collect his belongings. However, Zack never returned. Taking advantage of Edith's blind faith, he traveled to Panama City and met Bobby Chandler at a local pub. Chandler, a construction business owner, hired Zack to work for him and even allowed him to live temporarily at his place. But here's where things got strange. On the second night at Chandler's place, Zack had a really scary nightmare. He woke up in the middle of the night, screaming and saying things like "stop" or "don't." Chandler asks Zack what happened, but Zack wouldn't say a word about the nightmare. Then, 2 nights later, Zack disappeared into thin air, leaving Chandler's place. But he didn't leave empty-handed. He took a rifle, a handgun, and $42 from Chandler's wallet. It turns out Zack pawned those guns for $225 in Niceville on the morning of June 12, 1996. This was the beginning of his dark journey for the days ahead. Zack continued his journey from Niceville and arrived at another bar in Okaloosa County. There, Zack sat alone with a beer when Laurie Russillo approached him. Zack and Russillo decided to leave the bar together in Pope's red Honda and drove to the beach, supposedly to use some drugs that Zack claimed to have. However, things took a dark turn on that beach. Zack suddenly attacked Russillo, beating her while they were still in the car. He pulled Russillo from the car and banged her head against one of the tires. According to reports, Russillo's tube top was torn and hanging off her hips. Her pants were pulled down around her ankles. The evidence suggests she was sexually assaulted. However, the sperm found in Russillo's body could not be matched to Zack. It's truly chilling to think about what happened next. Zack didn't stop at beating Russillo. He went further. After the attack, he strangled her and left her lifeless body behind a dune, kicking dirt over her face as if it were nothing. Just how cold-hearted can a person be to commit such a heinous crime? But Zack wasn't done yet. The next stop on his killing spree was Dirty Joe's bar near the beach in Pensacola, where he met Ravonne Smith. They spent the afternoon together, talking and playing pool or darts. Before leaving the bar at about 7 p.m., Smith called her boyfriend, Danny Schaefer, to let him know she'd be working late. After leaving the bar, Smith, her friend Williams, and Zack went to the beach to take drugs. Then they went back to the bar, and that's when Williams left. Zack and Smith left the bar together at around 8 p.m. and eventually got to Smith's house, where she lived with her boyfriend. As soon as they got inside the house, Zack attacked Smith with a beer bottle, causing broken glass and blood to go everywhere in the living room. He left a trail of blood as he chased Smith down the hall to the master bedroom. What happened next is truly horrifying. Zack sexually assaulted Smith as she lay injured on the bed. She managed to escape to an empty guest bedroom across the hall, but Zack followed her and brutally beat her head against the bedroom's wooden floor. He then went to the kitchen, grabbed an oyster knife, and returned to the guest bedroom where Smith lay. He stabbed her in the chest 4 times with a knife. During that night, Zack took Smith's car to where the red Honda was parked and removed the license plate and some personal items from the Honda. Then he moved it to a nearby lot. In Smith's car, Zack returned to Panama City and tried to pawn a television and VCR. But the shop owners suspected the items were stolen and asked for identification, which made Zack run away from the store, leaving Smith's car behind a local restaurant. He was eventually caught after spending several days hiding in an empty house. After his arrest, Zack admitted to killing Smith and stealing from Edith Pope and Bobby Chandler. He said he had consensual sex with Smith, but something she said about his mother's murder made him angry, leading to the attack. Zack claimed he grabbed the knife in self-defense, thinking Smith was going to get a gun from the guest bedroom. Do you believe his claims? Because the court definitely didn't. Zack was found guilty of first-degree murder for both the deaths. For the murder of Laurie Russillo, he received a life sentence. However, for the brutal slaying of Ravonne Smith, he was sentenced to the death penalty. During the trial, Zack's defense attorneys argued that he suffers from mental health issues. These conditions were said to make Zack impulsive and subject him to continuous emotional and mental distress. His defense filed a lot of petitions, but the court rejected their claims, and Zack is scheduled to be executed on October 3rd. Do you think this punishment is justified? The story of Michael Duane Zack raises many questions. Was he really struggling with mental health problems? Or was it an excuse? Will his petitions be accepted, or will he get the punishment he deserves? We'll have to wait until October 3rd to know for sure. That's all for today. Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.